I'm at a-hole for how I reacted to my mom's pregnancy announcement. So I've been trying to figure out how to word this post and stuff for days. And I'm very tired, so please bear with me with my grammar, spelling, general cohesion, etc. I'm 18 male and the oldest of 5 siblings. Not hugely relevant, but they're 7 female, 9 female, 9 male, and 12 female. Our mom is, well, not the best, let's put it that way. I'm sure she has some kind of severe mental health issues, but she absolutely refuses to accept that or get diagnosed. She has substance abuse issues and will go on benders for weeks and times, and has these prolonged manic episodes where she does things like blowing all of our money on designer stuff and gadgets and even vehicles, but she doesn't pay the bills or buy food or anything. It's been this way since I was little. It's all I've ever really known. She has this pattern when she's had babies where for like 6 months or so, she turns into mother of the year and super attentive and stuff. But then the novelty of the new baby wears off and she's back to the same old mom. Since I was 7 and the oldest younger sister was born, I've been picking up the slack. It's meant I've had to give up / miss out on a lot and had to grow up very, very fast. We're at a point now though where the kids are old enough that they don't need constant supervision, can be a little bit independent, and I can have something of a normal life. I'm in a relationship now and I'm meant to be going to university, albeit at a school close enough I can stay in the same city, in September. Or I was, until a few days ago when mom excitedly told me she is pregnant again and due in September. I did not react well. At first I asked if she was joking, and when I realized she wasn't, I got kind of angry. I shouted a bit that it was so selfish of her to have another kid when she can't take care of the ones she's got, and I can't believe that she'd do this to me. I'm now not going to be able to move out for uni because I can't in good faith leave a newborn alone in that situation. I'm also going to have to give up any semblance of a social life I have, and I'm basically back to square one. I raised my voice and ended up crying. She got upset with me, said I spoiled what should be a good thing, and said I was being a selfish a-hole who's making it all about me. I've been ruminating on it, and I don't know. Maybe she's right. Maybe I did kind of overreact. Am I the a-hole for getting upset? Now for the top comments. The burden of raising these kids has been on you, so it seems natural that you would make your pregnancy announcement about you. If you let it happen, then you will be the one raising this kid. On that note, move out for university, develop a life, and report your mom to children's services. You may think you can do a good job taking care of all these kids, but you are basically a kid yourself. And you didn't make the irresponsible decision to have kids you don't want to raise. Yes, addiction is hard and she needs help, but she's not getting that if you keep cleaning up her messes. Get professionals involved and maybe it will help your mom get her life together. Worst case scenario, you get your education and develop a life. And then, if you still want to, you'll be in a better position to take on raising 5 kids. Right now, you aren't any better for them than your mom is, because you don't have the education, /finances, /social support needed. Not an a-hole for your reaction, though your mom is certainly making poor choices. You would be an a-hole if you sacrificed your life to something that really doesn't help anyone by giving up your future. This is a hard situation. I hope it works out for the best for you and your siblings. This, OP. Do not put your life on hold to fix your mother's mistakes. All that's going to do is burn you out and make you resentful. Go live your life. I recommend trying to set some boundaries with your mother ahead of time. Tell her, if you feel safe doing so, that she can have her baby but you won't be doing the bulk of the care. And if she demands to know why, tell her the truth. You've taken care of enough of her babies. It's time she stepped up. Good luck, OP. You needed to have called CPS many times before now. And you'll need to call CPS if she goes on another one of her benders again. I guarantee you the kids will be in a better situation than my mom can't afford food and bills because she spent it all on substances and designer BS. You can't put your life on hold to raise another one of her kids. I know you love them and can't help but to feel responsible for it, but ultimately you can't just decide to be their parent. Your mom is just going to end up having another kid in 3 to 5 years anyway. Go to university and call CPS if anything happens. Not a a-hole. I was in foster care when I was the twins' age, and without getting too into it, I had an incredibly traumatic experience. I'm terrified of it happening to any of the kids. I'm sorry you experienced trauma, but what exactly do you think your siblings are experiencing with food insecurity and no stability in the home, being raised by a brother who is frustrated and doesn't have the support to genuinely help them? That is also traumatic. They could have a better outcome in foster care. Many do. Not at AHAL. And yes, you can move out and go to university. This is your only chance to escape. Call social services so they put care plans in place for your siblings. 1. You deserve to go to university. 2. If you don't, you will hinder your future chances. And in turn, you may be able to look out for your siblings / encourage them to go to uni as their get-out plans when they're older. 3. You're not a nanny, but you're essentially enabling your mom by giving her what she wants. If it makes you feel better, when I left my parents, my mother actually did to an extent step up and parent their little ones. She could always do it. She just used me because I was there and would step in while she didn't step up. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not going to my mom's birthday after learning her husband got rid of my cat? My mom remarried when I, 29 male, was 14. My sister and brother were 12 and 9. From the beginning, none of us liked Ben and didn't consider him our stepdad. It was obvious he didn't like us either. He literally divided our fridge between stuff that was ours and what was his. Separate milk, cereal, eggs, sodas, etc. Everything he paid for weren't allowed to touch, even if it was the same brand. It was weird, but whatever our mom bought us what we needed. Ben was super controlling too. Always told us our friends weren't allowed in his house. He's the one who moved in with us. Even if my mom said it's okay. We weren't allowed to sit on his couches, so always sat on the living room floor. Expected us to be silent in the house 24/7, never let us go outside, etc. I was a stubborn little guy, so I butted heads with him the most while my mom played mediator between us. Even now that we're all older, we still dislike him. Only tolerate Ben for our mom when we visit. My brother in particular hates him. And sometimes they have screaming matches. Last month, when we met up at their house, things got out of hand with their argument, and my brother revealed he knows Ben was the one who got rid of my cat when he went missing. This caught me off guard, but I got on Ben's case and told him to tell me the truth. And it was true after all. My brother saw Ben with my cat in his car driving off once. Ben confessed he was tired of all the hairs and my cat roaming around everywhere, so he took my cat to a shelter an hour away. I almost freaking lost it right there, and my mom tried to calm me down. So she had known about it too back then, but never told me because my cat had already been gone for months. But according to her, she made sure Ben knew how horrible that was. Then I took off and told them I'm not speaking to them anymore, and she shouldn't expect me at her birthday, which was a few days ago. My heart was pounding and I cried a little in my car. I felt like I lost my cat all over again. I had spent months looking for him, and all that time he was at a shelter. Who knows if he was even adopted because he was an older cat. My brother's the only one who apologized for never telling me and for bringing it up like that. Everyone else is telling me to let it go already because Ben made that mistake years ago. They said my mom was extremely hurt that I didn't show up to her birthday, so this was very mature of me to be angry over something done a long time ago. I spoke to her and she apologized for what happened back then, but it didn't make it right for me to shut them out on an important day. So she also feels I was in the wrong for refusing to go on every birthday I've been there, and it means a lot to have all her kids there celebrating. I'm caught in the middle, still feeling emotionally raw over this whole thing, and not really sure if I was an a-hole for not going. Give me a break. Ben made a mistake? Ben was a selfish a-hole time and time again, and your mom enabled this man to treat her kids horribly for years. You have every right to be furious with both of them. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I sure don't see Ben apologizing anywhere in this story. Not the a-hole at all. I also don't see where the mom attempted to get the cat back. I mean, sure, she let her husband know he did a bad thing, but oops, I guess can't go to the shelter and get it back. I also don't see her ever standing up for her kids beyond being a mediator, which is apparently a normal and okay thing for her to do, and not question why she brought someone into her life that makes that role a necessity. Not an a-hole. I'm pretty sure OP is better off without either of them. I said this in another comment, but I'm amazed any of these kids even speak to her. She was basically an accomplice to this mistreatment for nearly a decade in the case of the younger kids. I'd never speak to my family again if they let someone treat me that way. She was an abuser as well. Neglect is mistreatment, and she clearly neglected her children. Not at a-hole. She made it clear she has chosen Ben over her children, so she can celebrate with him. If she wanted her kids to be happy and visit, she should have dumped the weirdo who refused her kids food. Not at a-hole. You don't have to speak to either of them ever again, if you don't want to. That's freaking horrible. I get that birthday gatherings mean a lot to you, Mom. But you know what meant a lot to me? My cat. What he did was despicable, and you covered it up. That makes you complicit. I'm absolutely entitled to shut him out of my life forever. Should have done it long ago. And if you're adjacent to him, that's unfortunate. You're gonna have to forgive me if I can't get over what he and you did. Or don't forgive me. I don't care. Won't change anything. You chose that narcissist over your own children for years, so enjoy that. I'm done playing happy family with that monster while my mom acts like his deputy. Click. Nothing less than an apology from him, not her, will suffice. And you still don't have to accept that. But her apologizing for him? No. Next story. Am I the a-hole for screaming at my whole family because they didn't invite me? I, 25 female, had a big argument a few weeks ago when I visited them. Before I start, I should mention that I am autistic, but I have a normal job, a fiancé, and a pretty normal life. That was a bit different as a kid because I had a few more difficulties with loud noises, groups of people, foods and stuff, and some social rules/interactions. But I almost never had major meltdowns in front of others. There were maybe 2 to 3 accidents, but which kid is perfect? So the whole incident started when I was at my parents' house, where my parents, 54 male and 50 female, and 2 of my siblings, 29 female and 21 female, my brother, 19 male, and I both moved out at 18 but visited often. We all sat at dinner, and my brother started talking about how nice it was in Paris a few years ago, and that he misses those trips because of the pandemic. I froze for a moment, because I never had a family trip for the last 20 years, not even stuff like an amusement park or zoo visit, because my parents let me believe I don't have enough money. The most fun I got was when I was for a few weekends, sometimes weeks, with my grandparents in another city. It hit me pretty hard, and I exactly know the reason why I was there always alone. I asked my whole family if my assumption was true, and that they had family vacations without me and still excluding me. After a long pause, my dad said yes, and I could not hold my tears back. I felt so alone, and went into the guest room to cry. After an hour of crying and thinking about all of that, I asked my parents why they did that, and my mom said she couldn't bear my meltdowns and couldn't deal with them at vacations, and was so sorry it found out that way. My dad just sat there, and the only thing he had to add was, "You need to understand that we wanted to feel like a normal family at least at our vacations." At that moment, I screamed at my parents that they should have given me up on adoption if they hated me so much. Until now, I got a message from my mom that says, that's exactly what I meant. You can't control yourself, and that I should stop ignoring her calls. Pretty nasty messages from my sisters I don't want to repeat. The R slur is used, and a big apology from my brother, who told me I missed over 50 big and small vacations, that he is sorry what happens, and that he didn't told me before. So my question is, am I the a-hole for ignoring my family besides my brother? My mom didn't really apologize in my opinion. I just feel still sad and betrayed. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Dear Lord, this is ableist as hell. We wanted to feel like a normal family? Excuse you for being born autistic. Info though, where were you when these vacations happened? 50 trips is a lot. I was at my grandparent almost every second weekend, in a camp for autistics, basically applied behavioral analysis therapy all summer long, and hated it. And after I moved out, they didn't have to worry. I have routines, and will ask 2 weeks before if they have time. The reason we always left you behind was because you'd ruin our good time. I have nothing to say, but I'm sorry. You are completely entitled to how you feel. Your parents and sisters are weaponizing your disability against you. If you aren't already, I would continue to maintain very low contact for the time being. These people are actively denying you your humanity. Labeling you as abnormal? Your disgusting sister's referring to you as the R slur. There is no excuse for that. Not one. Once it's safe to travel, book yourself a trip somewhere. Text a picture of you boarding the plane and say, "You were right, Mom." Catch flights, not feelings. Thank you. That's a great idea. Not the a-hole. Honestly, what kind of parents can do that to their child? I'm gonna suggest start calling your parents by their first name, if you ever talk to them again, because they clearly don't deserve to be called Mom and Dad. That is a great idea because it's what I feel, but I don't think that would be socially acceptable. Not the a-hole. They are horrible parents. What they did was so ableist and cruel to a child. That's exactly what I meant. You can't control yourself, and they want to guilt you for something that they did? Yeah, I don't think so. You deserve a proper apology, and you wouldn't be wrong if you wanted to go no contact with them. Last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for staying the night at my dad's?" Some backstory. I am a 21-year-old female, and I don't like kids. I usually give them the chance to gain my liking, but I haven't changed my mind yet. So, some time ago, my mom and I lost our home due to a natural disaster. We lived in a rented house for about a year or so, but we decided to rebuild our house. Well, about 1 month ago, we moved back to our old house. I told my mom that I would get a job so I could help her get the new stuff for our new house and all that stuff. Also, she is a retired preschool teacher, so she loves kids. To help too, she decided to start babysitting. Well, this is where it all goes downhill. Once settled in our new house, she decided to start babysitting here. At first it was all nice, but as the time went on, these kids wouldn't leave me alone. Like really. I would take a shower, they would knock on my door to ask me what I was doing, and they also waited for me to get out. While doing college online, due to COVID, at a proctorized exam, they would knock on my window, start shouting or even enter my room to ask me what I was doing. Also, one of the kids I remember was petting my dog so harshly that she started howling in pain, 10-year-old Cocker Spaniel. So I decided to talk to my mom and told her that when they came by, I would stay in my room so they wouldn't bother me, and I would bother her to tell them not to pet my dog, as it was obvious that she was in pain. Well, yesterday, as always, they came by and I stayed in my room. When all of a sudden my door opens and the kids storm into my room. I tell them, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be with your mother?" They tell me that she's on the phone. Then they start grabbing one of my figurines. I have a collection of crystal figurines. So I rush to them, and all of a sudden some nail polish that I had on my bed falls, breaks, and stains my bed sheets, my dresser, the floor, and it even got on me. In the moment, all I could say was, "Go back to Mom so I can clean this mess." When I clean everything, I tell my mom I'm staying at my dad's, so I can go to the store and get some new bed sheets. About 2 hours later, she texts me and tells me that I'm such an a-hole for not treating the kids well. One is 5 and the other one is 8. And that I am mean to them and that I should like the kids, and that I was disrespectful to her by leaving for the night. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. My mother also did an in-home daycare once upon a time. It's hectic and frustrating if there are no boundaries. You aren't getting paid to watch these kids, so it is not your responsibility to like them or be involved with them in any way. Yes, if anybody's an a-hole, it's your mom for not setting any boundaries with a dear sweet devil spawn. I mean children. Seriously, not an a-hole. My mom is an early childhood educator, and when I was around 7 years old, she started doing home daycare. With 3 kids of her own, it was easier/cheaper than working at a daycare outside home and paying to have her kids watched. And our bedrooms were completely off limits to the daycare kids unless we invite them in. Obviously, this was pre-pandemic, by like 2 decades. But if I had homework or a project, or needed to focus or even just wanted to read a book quietly and be left alone, my mom would demand that I be nice or play with the kids. This was her job, but in my home. Not the a-hole. Lock your door. Buy door locks. I use a doorstep wedge when I can't get a lock. Not the a-hole. If your mom can't do the job adequately, she shouldn't be doing it. And she clearly isn't, because these kids aren't being supervised properly.